Good evening, World Wide Web. Welcome back to my stock channel. If you're watching this, you might be an investor of Norwegian or Carnival Cruise Lines, maybe a Royal. If you're the first two, congratulations. You've been kicking butt lately, and you're probably wondering when the end is. When does this thing become overblown? It's absolute insanity. The prices over the last month. Carnival just won't stop. Um, it's just blowing me away. 1612, and then it hit 1624 after hours. It was at 1640 earlier tonight. Absolutely crazy. I was expecting this thing to start puttering out at 14, maybe 1350. No. I sold my 15 options because I thought they were, I was doing great on them, but I thought they were a little too long shotty. I didn't want it to come too close. I sold my 17 options for after this earnings. I thought they were real long shots. Oh no, they went up 10 times after I sold them. Absolutely did great on it though. I'm not complaining. But my apprehensive nature cost me a lot of money. Probably twice as much money as I made. I also didn't make because I bailed on some of it. I didn't want to hold such a big position of one thing, and it got to be so ridiculous because I'm up like 2,500, 3,000% on a couple of these things, on a couple of my options, and I got lots and lots of contracts. So I'm asking myself, I'm just heavy on cruise lines, and that's the way to be, and it's been the way to be for a while, but when does this party end? And I wanted to make this video dedicated to when the party ends so we all don't get stuck like Chuck in something that goes backwards for $3. Nothing would ruin this run more than going backwards $3. That'd be worse than missing out on going forwards $3, to be honest with you. Where does it end? Analyzing the two companies, Carnival and Norwegian. I just got off both of their websites, checking their prices, checking their availability, checking their number of ships, checking the size of their ships, and checking out the history of the outstanding shares and the history of their debt. So I have a few things to say. Number one, Carnival and Norwegian both doubled their debt during COVID. Carnival went from 20 to 40 billion dollars in debt, and Norwegian went from 10 to almost 20 billion dollars in debt. So Carnival's twice as in debt as Norwegian is. Carnival owns 10 different cruise companies. They own Carnival runs as Carnival, and Princess runs as Princess. And they got 8 other ones, and each one runs as its own name. Even though it's owned by Carnival, all the money comes back to Carnival. Carnival grand total number of ships somewhere between 93 and 100. I've heard a lot of varying reports. Carnival itself only has 24 ships, but all of these companies they've acquired ring it up to 93 to 100. Norwegian owns Norwegian, and then they own 2 other companies, Regent and one more, which I just forgot the name of. But Norwegian Cruise Lines are the big ones. They have 17 Norwegian boats. They hold 3,000 to 4,000 passengers each. Carnival has 24 boats, and they hold 3,000 to 4,000 passengers each. Carnival also owns Princess and a few other big ones that can hold that many people. So I think Carnival's probably got more capacity for people, not just because they have more boats, but they have a lot more boats. The other 2 cruise lines that Norwegian owns only have 7 boats each, and they only hold 700 to 800 people each. They don't hold nearly as many people. We're talking a fourth of the number of people fit on those boats. So it's almost like 4 boats for one. Well, one big boat equals 4 of them little boats. So in reality, those 14 extra ships owned by Norwegian by those other companies are probably only worth 3 Norwegian ships. I mean, maybe I'm not doing my math right, but there's definitely less people aboard if all prices are comparable. The smaller boats tend to fetch lower prices, it would seem. Both companies are double the amount of in debt as they used to be pre COVID. Both companies have diluted their shares since COVID by double. Carnival went from 600 million to 1.2 billion outstanding shares, and Norwegian went from 200 million outstanding shares pre COVID to just over 400 million now. So, they both, based on their number of outstanding shares, a full recovery pre COVID should be about 50% of where they were at pre COVID because they have twice as many shares. Let's just forget about the debt. We'll call the price increases. Maybe they'll cover their own debt with price increases. I'm sure they're charging 20-25% more per cruise now than they were before. We know the boats are more full now than they were before. I did some research on that. Pre-COVID, Carnival was 106% full, which means that they're counting one person per cabin. So a family of four equals like 4 people in that equation. So I don't really know what 106% full really means, but as far as number of rooms booked, but it would seem like not all their rooms are booked before COVID. I would almost say most people bring an extra person with them on the cruise, and if your cruise is 100% booked and you're counting that by people and not cabins, I'd say that half of your cabins are probably empty, or maybe a third of your cabins are empty. That was pre-COVID. So now we got post-COVID. Now they have like no cabins empty. So if you want to take a cruise right now, Carnival, they're not willing to sell you a ticket unless you want to take a cruise in August. And then they have just a couple of options available. If you want to take a Norwegian cruise right now, you're going to wait until November for the next available ticket. That's how far out it is. That's how long it'll take you to actually get your feet on a cruise ship. So you better plan something like this in advance because they are booked solid full, packing them in like sardines. It's for real. So their numbers are going to be a lot better than they were before. Just analyzing Carnival really quick. Pre-COVID, we're looking at a company that did a $20 billion a year and then just on 19 billion. So this is probably, let's just assume maybe 75% booked. So their potential in these years would have been maybe, let's just say 25 billion. So 25 billion would have been with the pace they're kicking at this quarter right now. So, but they're kicking at a full pace. Norwegian did an earnings blowout. They beat estimates by 20% last quarter, and this is why, because their boats are actually 100% full now, and the estimates of comparing it to other things just aren't the same. There's literally 25% more people on the boats now than this quarter than there was in the COVID pre-quarters. So they've greatly surpassed pre-COVID with number of people and revenue by charging more money. They're not only adding 25% more people, they're also adding probably another 20% more revenue per person. So that makes a big difference too. So a quarter that's fully booked for Carnival could very well look like, a year for Carnival could very well be a $30 billion year. And quarterly, this is, let's make this a little bigger. Last February, they were just pacing 18 billion a year. Yeah, that could get to, I guess 7.5 billion is what it could be. I mean, it could be outrageous, the revenue. They could very well be in the black this quarter if that comes true. If they do the 7.5 billion or 6.8 billion or just something ridiculously outpacing their old pace, they could actually find profit somewhere. They have 1.2 billion outstanding shares, so it probably won't be that much profit. Um, but who knows? They could blow away everyone's expectations. Our earnings has been improving and improving, and they're supposed to. The analysts are saying they're going to get really close. Like I think they're saying 26 cents lost to 35 cents lost in negative earnings per share for this next upcoming quarter. I think they're going to call it June 2023. It ends in June 2023. It ends in 2 weeks. I'm sorry, this quarter for them already ended. It ended in May. The earnings come out in 12 days. Ooh, I was wrong on that one. So pay attention to the earnings date. It was June 26th at 10 a.m. is the conference call. You'll get the numbers probably around 9 a.m. You'll have them by then. But comparing this one to Carnival, comparing Carnival to Norwegian again. Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings. And we just want to look at this one really quick also. Now it's at 19.54 cents a share. Keep in mind they have a high end of 17 big boats. Carnival has a high end of probably at least double that on big boats. I'll assume that let's just say the majority of Carnival's boats are smaller boats. But if they take their overall revenue and they're 25% more occupancy or 20% more occupancy plus 20% more price, you can come to a much better revenue figure than you ever could have pre-COVID for both of these companies. And we're talking right now this quarter, the one that's coming out right now, fully booked all 3 months, packing them in there like sardines. I've been trying to book cruises. I'm not actually going to pay for one. I'm just trying to book them every single week to see what the dates are, to see the push out, to see how booked they are. And I assure you they don't have room for me. And I'm just one person that wants to get on the boat. Now, Norwegian is a much smaller company. Annually, before COVID, 6.46 billion and 6.06 billion. So they were just doing a third, almost 3.5 times less the business of Carnival. But they're, well, I don't know if there is a but. If they do 3.5 times less revenue and they have just, well, I guess they have 3.5 times less rooms. I don't know. But assume this one grows up 25% and then 20%. You're looking at a company that could be they could be around 10 billion. They could be in that realm. Let's check their last quarter. Yeah, you can see the nice pucker up. This is the one that they announced. And everyone got all excited about 1.82 billion. So almost pacing 8 billion as a company now, and that was the last one. That was before their boats got fully booked. So yeah, big jump in revenue, possibly 8 billion-ish, maybe, on the next one. So basically, Carnival has triple the earnings capacity. They have triple the amount of outstanding shares. They have triple the revenue capacity. They have triple the profit capacity. It's really hard to make a decision on there because Carnival has all that triple capacity, but they also have double the debt and triple the outstanding shares. So if you're 3 times bigger all around with the money, you're making triple the money, and you're have triple the outstanding shares, it would just seem to me that that's kind of a wash. Triple the profit, triple the outstanding shares. Your stock price should be the same as their stock price. Carnival's lagging on earnings per share right now, just a little bit compared to Norwegian. I think that's why Norwegian has the lead right now. That could very well change, and I think that's what we're starting to witness with watching Carnival outperform Norwegian at this particular point. Um, as far as people saying that Carnival has problems, no, they don't have problems. They can be a very profitable company just the way they are. Even if they don't do a share buyback, I have a feeling that Carnival did some share buybacking this month, and I hope Norwegian did too. Um, However, whoever did might be the winner out of this earnings season. First week of August for Norwegian is earnings, June 26th for Carnival. Um, Whoever does the stock buyback this quarter is going to be the big winner. The one that says, hey, we just bought back 10% of our shares. They don't have to tell anybody until within one quarter or one earnings report after they've done it. So they can just do it sneaky behind our backs. Now, Carnival had triple the cash flow probably, and they had a share price that was much lower. So they could have bought back much more of their shares more cheaply. They have an opportunity to do that. A better opportunity probably than Norwegian. They were more capable of it, and they've already announced they're not going to start paying their debt back at all. They're, I guess, have other plans for their money, and that kind of gave me the thought that they were very interested in doing a stock buyback. And the last earnings call, I think it was 26 times the CEO of Carnival said the words 2019 levels, 2019 levels. He's obsessed with 2019 levels. I believe he's going to do the buyback. I think Norwegian will do the buyback. I'm hoping it might be taking 3 or 5 years to finish these buybacks. Carnival needs to buy back $6 billion worth at like $10 a share. Now it's $16 a share, so now it's going to cost them $12 billion to buy it back. Last I checked, that was like 4 years of profit. So to think they can pull off a buyback of everything that they um, dissolved or diluted us on, no, I don't think either one of them can do their full buyback. Norwegian's probably got the best chance just because it's a lot less shares that they issued. They only issued 200 million more during COVID, while Carnival issued 600 million more. But they both doubled up, is what they did. Norwegian, I guess, was in a better position to begin with outstanding shares. Um, I just went to both of their websites. Norwegian hits you right off the bat with we don't have anything till November, and then when you go to book for November, you're staring at $1,300. It looks like an all-inclusive package: drinks, everything, insurance, the whole ball of wax. A 7-day Caribbean cruise leaving from Cape Canaveral, Florida in November. Carnival was willing, right on the homepage, right when I did the search, they were willing to do this for $650, $750, $850, $950, $12.99, $13.99, $14.99. They got rooms with balconies. They got this room. They got that room. They got different accommodations for a single passenger. Their advertising says it starts out at $650. Now I find that very attractive. When I look at a $650 cruise, I'm like, that's not bad at all for 7 nights, you know. And you look at $12.99, that's not really that bad either. But Norwegian doesn't even seem to be offering such a thing, so they're getting more money per passenger probably just on the way their marketing efforts work. So I don't know. All things being equal, 3 times more money for Carnival, 3 times um, the number of shares. Mister, hey, you cut it out. Quit making noises. Sorry, everybody. That's my dog. He's whimpering. Uh, he wants to scratch himself, and he has a cone on his head because he likes to bite his feet today. So I'm going to put a cone on his head, and he does not like it. Look at Norwegian up to 1965 after hours. Okay, so all things being said, if you go to their websites right now and try to book a cruise, Norwegian is 2 months further booked out than Carnival. So for that reason, I like Norwegian more because they're more booked out. They're have a longer waiting list. They're not willing to offer to slut you out a room for $650 to a cheaper person. You're going to pay the full rip. You're going to pay the $12.99. They're going to make everything all inclusive. They're going to throw in your drinks, which probably cost them, $20 worth of tequila. If you drink a lot, you'll drink a 1.75 liter during your cruise. And yeah, they'll get you drunk the whole time for free. That's no problem. And that's, I guess a lot of people like that. And then I think when you get into the Carnival thing at 650, it's plus 100, it's plus 80, it's plus this, it's plus that. You're probably at 1,000 by the end of it. But Norwegian's charging more. They're more full. I don't know. I like a happy mixture of both. But let's talk about the caps and the tops of these things. 5 years pre-COVID, it's a $50 stock. We talk about a full recovery. Right now, we're talking about $25 is what we're talking about because there's twice as many shares out there. Now, if we're talking about a better than it used to be recovery, which I think is more realistic because now they're absolutely fully booked where they weren't before, I think we're looking at a $60 or $70 stock, and I think the high point's going to be around 35. Norwegian's going to find it faster, it looks like, than Carnival. They're a full 30 cents earnings per share ahead of them in the race back to zero. Norwegian's going to announce a profit next quarter in August, and Carnival's not. But keep in mind, Carnival's has to report whatever it is a month and a half before them. So to say they're 3 months behind, they're probably a month and a half behind. But I'd say the peak for Norwegian, I'm going to put that at 35. That's when this run ends. And for Norwegian, there will be a very fast run because they're going to be a positive earnings per share, because they might do blowout earnings again because they blew them out by 20% last time. I say 35 quicker for sure. And Carnival, let's just look at that one real quick. I think it's going to be close or the same. Let's see. Just doing my little predictions for you guys. Please leave me in the comments below how you feel about it. When is this thing done? Carnival was a $60 stock pre-COVID. It was also a $50 stock and a low 40s, mid 40s. So this was probably at the 75% occupancy. This one might have been at 80%. Now we're at 100. So we'll just slap them up to 70. Better than ever, higher prices than ever, more rooms than ever. Both companies added more rooms to all of their boats. We could safely say they're bigger companies, they're more full, and they're charging more. I think that's all pretty certain. I'd say the full recovery on Carnival is also 35, and they're about a month and a half, or we'll call it a quarter away from Norwegian. So they're going to hit it second. So which one do you buy? Good Lord. They're both going to hit the same mark, in theory. 35. That's the magic number for both of them, it would sure seem. And it's obviously not going to happen until everybody knows we're going to hit the finish line. And when will everybody know that we got there? Is when we have, I guess, do we have to wait through all, in Norwegian's cases, until August plus 3 quarters? Do we need to see the whole year for it to get back to 35? Nah, I think we got to see probably 2 quarters, and just the optimism and the belief structure and the understanding of the boats and the numbers. I think they say Wall Street's 6 months ahead of everything. I don't really believe that. I think they're living in the past, but on a situation like this, they shouldn't have to show me the pudding through all 4 quarters, maybe 2 quarters. So August to December, August will be plus 26 or more for Norwegian, and then August will be plus another 26 or 30 for December, and they're going to be pretty much there in December. You can count them being 35. You can also count on Carnival being 35. Not this quarter, but in October they're going to be in the positive for sure, and then one more quarter of positive will probably do it. Say January, November, December, January. Like after earnings in January will be 2 quarters in the big positive for Carnival. That's probably when you'll see it hit 35. And if you want to stay on the safe side, give yourself a whole extra quarter for it to get there. So I would say pick up some, I don't know, find out the earnings dates after 3 quarters on both companies. I think you're looking at January for Carnival is 3 quarters from now, 2 quarters in the profit. So February, March, April. You'd be wanting April options, or I think they have June options available now. You'd want June 35s, and you could pretty much count on that hitting. And for Norwegian, we got August in the black nicely, November in the black nicely, February in the black nicely. Yeah, by December it should be pretty much breaching it or approaching it. Definitely by February. That would give it 3 quarters to show me the money. So without question, full recovery to 30 to 35 for Norwegian by February. So get the June options for that one. I don't think they have a February option for it, but you can get like a June of 2024. But both of them are cheap options. You can play the full recovery. I'm up over 3,000% in a month on several of them. Tell me how you all did below. I'm dying to hear from other people who are doing the same thing I'm doing. I know you guys are out there. Brag. I don't care. I want to hear it. Tell me if you did a 4,000, 5,000%. I missed out on a couple that went up 10 times in a day. But still, that's 3,000 is better than that. So I don't know how to look at it. I got a friend that bets a whole week on Tesla just to make 1-to-1, and I'm like, I'm getting 30-to-1 over here, and I'm still rolling. So I was really thinking about lightening my position on these things, and now I just don't know. I think I just talked myself into believing this thing's going to 30 definitely by January or by mid 2024. So I think I'm just going to pile up on those options. Mid 2024 30s and just load up for bear, and then I won't have to be impatient. And then maybe halfway there, I'll sell them and trade them in for ones that are a little further out even then. So that way I can make my final exit anytime I want early on in 2024. And it's okay to buy extra time on your options because you get to sell that time back when you sell it. So yeah, you might not make 3,000%. Actually, I did that on long extension options. You might make a lot better than that doing shorter ones, but shorter ones are dangerous. Give yourself longer ones. That's the way if you get destroyed, you don't have to worry about it. You know where it's going. You might have bad days. But to think this thing's outpacing itself, I don't know. I sold a lot today, and I think I regret it now. I think I'm it just sunk in from making this video that I left too early. I think that I needed to get rid of my Julys. I probably should get rid of my Octobers and turn them into, January or Julys. That's probably what I should do. It's just all in one swoop felt motion. Do it all at the same time almost. Close one, open the other, so you don't miss a beat. So Carnival doesn't run from 16 to 18 without you. Do it all at once. Get those options far, far out. This thing's going to be going up and up and up and up. And every time it goes up 20 cents, you make $1,000 if you got a lot of options. It's going nowhere but up, unless a bunch of their boats sink. And I like them both equally. And I guess Carnival's a better value because it's cheaper. If they're both going to the same place, it's just going there a little later, just by like a month and a half. And I guess the Chase is closing the gap. They're only $3 behind now. I guess they've been about $3 or $4 behind. But thank you for watching the video. Sorry it was such a long one, but I think we've come to a conclusion, or at least I did. Yeah, 30 to 35 by early 24. What do you think? Leave me a comment below. Like the video. Please subscribe to my channel. And that is going to wrap it up for Carnival. I'm not going to tell anyone about our secret, so don't tell anyone. Just get as much Carnival as you can and get some options. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much. Take care.